10 seconds. Progressive 2022 Exercise 1. Start. The Women's Reservation Bill has been pending for years and years together. In the last 5 years, we were disappointed because repeatedly we were being told that the Women's Reservation Bill would come, but even the introduction of it had to wait till the very end of the government. And therefore, the seriousness of this government in introducing the Women's Reservation Bill and seriously approving and supporting that Women's Reservation Bill was itself doubtful. The government has said that they intend to do so. If the government does so, I am sure as far as the BJP is concerned and as far as other segments of this house are concerned, we would strongly stand behind the government in supporting that bill in any form for the women in the next 100 days. I am glad that my friend who is also going to support us and the government on this bill corrects me. If this bill is brought and passed within 100 days, I think the credibility of Indian politics itself will go up because we have been promising the voters and the women of India that we will give this reservation, and for almost a decade this has been pending. It is about time that we did it in the next 100 days. Sir, there is one issue of caution that I have on which the President's address does not state anything. During the earlier tenure of this government, in the last 5 years, there was a lot of debate as far as the IndoUS nuclear deal was concerned. Some taunting remarks were made in that context even today. We had repeatedly said that we stand for a close cooperation between the United States and India. But the nuclear deal should not merely be the touchstone as far as determining that relationship is concerned. There were a genuine apprehension that we had agreed to some areas where we felt we should not have agreed. I do not go into that history, but there are going to be 3 areas in the days, weeks, and months to come where our own autonomy and independence is going to be at test. The 3 areas are those where our stand and that of the United States is significantly different. The signing of the NPT is one area, the agricultural negotiations is the second area. I am sure the government, which has followed a particular course of action, which has been the consistent national stand as far as India is concerned, is conscious as far as the interest of India's agriculture is concerned and India's industry is concerned. The agricultural negotiations have not proceeded significantly in the past 5 years. Now there is a considerable amount of pressure on us to yield. The Indian position in short has been that unless our agricultural farmer is really a sustenance farmer, he cannot compete with the subsidized farming as far as the United States is concerned, the European Union is concerned, and the other subsidizing nations are concerned. We must bear in mind that as far as these areas are concerned, nowhere in the world foreign policy and trade policy necessarily go together. Europe and United States are occasionally raised against each other as far as trade policy is concerned, though they may have the best of political and diplomatic relations with each other. Because ours is a sustenance farmer, he cannot compete this huge amount of subsidies that the developed countries give, which must come down. The government of India in the last 5 years has pursued this stand and pursued it vigorously. India is being blamed by the developed countries for not allowing the deal to go through. On the contrary, we are being told that you reduce your tariffs so that the subsidized agriculture can come and invade the Indian market. Even if it did not invade the Indian market, it will at least prevent our surplus from going into the global market, compelling our agricultural produce to be dumped in our own market and depress our prices. So those subsidies really are a death knell as far as the Indian farmer is concerned. Without any significant reduction in those subsidies by just concealing them into the environmental category in the green box today, there is an effort to get us to fall in line and sign that deal. I wish to caution this government that this is one area where the government would not yield and stand by what our conventional Indian position is. The climate change negotiations are currently on. There also, the effort is that the developed countries have already had and tasted the fruits of development. They have a huge amount of industrialized growth, and therefore their emissions or what pollutes the environment is far higher than us. Now the entire effort is to trade in that pollution and ask the developing or the weaker countries to buy it because our emissions are reasonably low from latest scam order. Making Indian companies and India's national economy more productive is not going to be an easy or painless task. We must recognize here that capital is scarce and costly, and this is especially so in view of the current downturn in the national and global economy. Market conditions have become highly volatile, although we in India can say with some satisfaction that our economy has remained relatively immune to the crisis that has engulfed several countries in Southeast Asia and elsewhere. In this rapidly changing global scenario, better utilization of human resources and adoption of more efficient technologies and work practices become all the more important. This places major responsibility on all of us, on policy makers in the government, management, trade unions, R&D, institutions, media, and of course, each and every worker. In this context, the first thought I would like to put before my countrymen is that productivity enhancement must be given the priority in all sectors of the economy. The appeal I would like to make to every worker and every organization is work faster, work better, work for the nation. Concretely, this would mean that individuals as well as organizations must pay greater attention to cutting costs and boosting the quality of their products and services. Both individuals and organizations must give priority to better management of available assets before drawing up plans for new investment. They must think of ways to save energy and materials in every economic activity. Studies have shown that with technologies and work practices, Indian industry can save up to 30% of the energy which it now consumes and 50 to 20% of the materials which it now uses. The greatest scope for saving, however, is in time, which is also the most precious of all the economic resources. If a certain work can be completed in half the time that it otherwise takes, it not only satisfies the consumer, but to that extent also doubles the rate of growth of the organization. I believe that there is a vast scope for both speeding and improving the work in every office or productive establishment in the country, especially in the government. I have a specific proposal to translate this potential into reality, which I would like to place before the nation. Let every organization in the country invite ideas and suggestions from its employees at all levels on how it can work faster and better. I call upon policymakers in the government, captions of industry and trade unions and leaders of other concerned organizations to develop this concept further so that we can launch the National Work Improvement Campaign in an expeditious and effective manner. The cornerstone of the National Work Improvement Campaign will have to be an emphasis on teamwork. Excellence in work is rarely the result of individual excellence. Rather, it is the cumulative outcome of the proper management of team talent. In order to enrich and activate team talent, we must create organizations that are less hierarchical and more democratic. We must create an environment which accepts creative ideas and initiatives from whichever directions they may come. The National Work Improvement Campaign must also place high emphasis on continuous learning at the workplace. Training, retaining and acquisition of new knowledge should become an integral part of our work culture. Let each and every economic organization in the country become a learning organization, and let India itself become a learning nation. Our efforts to create a national work culture will bear the desired fruit only if it is rooted in the age-old concept of seva. Work becomes more than a job indeed.